She showed up at my door with flowers and mascara running down her face, and I knew exactly why she'd come back. Her ex had finally gotten what he wanted and dumped her like yesterday's trash. "Daniel, please," Emma said, her voice breaking as she held out the bouquet of roses. Red ones, the expensive kind from that boutique downtown that charges $30 a stem. "You're my soulmate. I messed up so badly. I need you. I love you." I leaned against the doorframe of what used to be our apartment, the one she'd walked out of exactly 14 days ago, and smiled. Not a kind smile. Not the smile of a man ready to forgive and forget. "Oh," I said, my voice calm and steady. "Did your ex finally get what he wanted and then dump you?" Her face went pale. The flowers trembled in her hands. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again like a fish gasping for air. But no words came out. Her silence told me everything I needed to know. "That's what I thought," I said. "You can keep the flowers, Emma. I don't want them, just like I don't want you anymore." I started to close the door, but she lunged forward, her hand catching the edge. "Wait, please, just let me explain." "Explain what? That you asked for a break so you could sleep with Travis without technically cheating? That you told me you needed space to find yourself, when what you really needed was to see if the grass was greener with your high school ex-boyfriend? Or maybe you want to explain how you posted those photos on Instagram? Yeah, I saw them. Looking so happy with him while I was here wondering what I did wrong?" Emma's tears came harder now, but I felt nothing. 2 weeks ago, those tears would have destroyed me. 2 weeks ago, I would have done anything to make her happy. 2 weeks ago, I was a different man. "It wasn't like that," she whispered. "It was exactly like that. But here's the thing, Emma. While you were off trying to recapture your teenage romance, I did some recapturing of my own. Want to know what I found?" She stared at me, confused and terrified. "I'll tell you anyway," I continued. "I found your journal, the one you keep in that box under the guest bed that you think I don't know about. I read every single entry from the past 6 months. Every time you wrote about texting Travis. Every time you fantasized about leaving me for him. Every time you complained about our marriage while accepting every comfort I provided. You had no right. No right? You asked for a break so you could cheat on me, and I had no right to find out why my marriage was falling apart? That's rich, Emma. Really rich." "I didn't cheat. We were on a break." "Right. Ross Geller's defense. Very original." "Who?" "Never mind. Look, I don't care about the semantics. You wanted out. You got out. Now you want back in because Travis reminded you that he's still the same selfish asshole he was in high school. And suddenly your boring, stable husband doesn't look so bad. But guess what? That door is closed. Permanently." "You don't mean that. We have 7 years together. 7 years of marriage. You can't just throw that away." "I'm not throwing it away. You already did that when you asked for the break. I'm just accepting reality." Emma collapsed against the doorframe, sobbing. 2 weeks ago, this would have broken me. Now, I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. "Please," she begged. "I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll delete Travis's number. I'll prove to you that I choose you." "You already chose Emma. You chose him. He just didn't choose you back. That's not my problem to fix." "Daniel." "Goodbye, Emma." This time, when I closed the door, she didn't stop me. I stood there listening to her cry on the other side for almost 5 minutes before I heard her footsteps retreating down the hallway. I walked to the living room, sat down on the couch, and picked up my phone. There were 17 missed calls from Emma over the past 3 hours. Before that, nothing. 2 weeks of radio silence, and now she couldn't stop calling. I deleted every voicemail without listening to them. Then I opened my messages and scrolled to the conversation I'd been having for the past week. Her name was Sarah. We'd met at a coffee shop 6 days ago when I was working on my laptop, trying to distract myself from my imploding marriage. She'd asked if the seat across from me was taken. We'd talked for 3 hours. "She came back," I typed. "Just like you said she would." 3 dots appeared immediately. "What did you say?" "That the door is closed." "Good. She doesn't deserve you." "Want to grab dinner tonight?" "Absolutely. Pick me up at 7?" "It's a date." I set my phone down and looked around the apartment. Our apartment. Except it wasn't ours anymore. Emma had surrendered that right when she'd walked out to be with Travis. The apartment looked the same as it had 2 weeks ago. Same furniture, same art on the walls, same coffee maker in the kitchen. But everything felt different. Lighter, like a weight had been lifted that I hadn't realized I'd been carrying. My phone buzzed. Emma calling again. I declined it and blocked her number. Then I blocked her on every social media platform, deleted her contact information, and removed her from all my streaming accounts. 7 years of marriage, and it took me less than 5 minutes to erase her from my digital life. The physical erasure would take longer. Her clothes were still in the closet. Her toiletries were still in the bathroom. Her books were still on the shelves. But I'd deal with that tomorrow. Tonight, I had a date. I stood up, walked to the bedroom, and opened my laptop. I had work to do before dinner, not for my job, but for my future. A future that no longer included Emma. Let me tell you how we got here. Let me tell you about the 2 weeks that changed everything. Let me tell you about what happens when a man decides he's done being treated like a safety net. 14 days earlier, Emma had come home from work and said the words that every married person dreads. We need to talk. I'd been making dinner, chicken stir-fry, her favorite. I turned off the stove and followed her to the living room, my stomach already knotting with dread. I think we need to take a break, she said, not meeting my eyes. A break? What does that mean? I just need some space, some time to think about what I want, about who I am. I feel like I've lost myself in this marriage. Lost yourself? Emma, what are you talking about? Last week you said you were happy. Last week we were planning our vacation for August. What changed? Nothing changed. Everything changed. I don't know. She was fidgeting with her wedding ring, spinning it around her finger. I just need time apart to figure out if this is really what I want. If our marriage is what you want? Yes. You're asking for a break from our marriage to figure out if you want to be married? Don't make it sound stupid. I'm not making it sound like anything. I'm trying to understand. Did I do something wrong? Did something happen? No, it's not about you. It's about me. I need to find myself. Find yourself? We're 32 years old, Emma. You've had 32 years to find yourself. We've been married for 7 of those years. What suddenly needs finding? I don't expect you to understand. Then help me understand. Because from where I'm sitting, this sounds like you want permission to do something you know will hurt me, and you're dressing it up in therapy speak to feel better about it. Her face flushed. That's not fair. Isn't it? Emma, be honest with me. Is there someone else? No. God, no. I just need space. But she wouldn't look at me. She stared at the floor, at the walls, at her hands, anywhere but at me. How long of a break? I don't know. A few weeks? A month? And what are the rules? Are we still married? Can we see other people? Do we still share finances? I don't know, Daniel. I haven't thought that far ahead. You haven't thought about the logistics of blowing up our marriage? How convenient. I'm not blowing up our marriage. I'm trying to save it by taking time to think. That's not how saving things works, Emma. You don't save a drowning person by letting go of them. This isn't the same thing. Isn't it? We'd argued for another hour. She'd insisted she needed this. I'd insisted she was making a mistake. In the end, she'd packed a bag and left to stay with her friend Michelle. I'd slept on the couch that night because the bed felt too empty. The next morning, I'd woken up angry. Not sad, angry, because Emma's refusal to look at me when I asked if there was someone else told me everything. There was someone else. She just didn't want to admit it while we were still technically married, so I'd done what any self-respecting man would do in the digital age. I'd looked at her phone records, we shared a phone plan, I had access to the account. And there, clear as day, were dozens of texts to a number I didn't recognize. They'd started 3 weeks ago. Short at first. Hey, and how are you? But getting longer and more frequent. By the time she'd asked for the break, they were texting constantly. Hundreds of messages a day. I'd called the number from a burner app. A man had answered. Hello? Who is this? I'd asked. Who's this? You called me. I'm trying to reach the person who's been texting my wife. Silence. Then, oh, you must be Daniel. And you must be the reason my wife asked for a break. Who are you? Travis. Emma and I went to high school together. Travis. The name hit me like a punch. Emma had mentioned Travis before, her high school boyfriend, the one she'd dated for 3 years before they'd broken up when she went to college, the one she'd always described as my first love, with a wistful tone that made me uncomfortable. Travis Bennett? Yeah. The ex-boyfriend. Look, man, I didn't know she was married when we reconnected on Facebook. She never mentioned it. She's wearing a wedding ring in her profile picture. I guess I didn't notice. Right. And when did you notice? A couple weeks ago. But by then we were already talking every day, and she said things weren't great with you, and I thought, you thought you'd slide in and steal another man's wife? It's not like that. It's exactly like that. But you know what? You can have her. Enjoy my sloppy seconds. I'd hung up before he could respond. That conversation had clarified everything. Emma hadn't asked for a break to find herself. She'd asked for a break so she could sleep with Travis without technically cheating on me. She wanted to test drive her old flame and see if he was better than what she had at home. and if it didn't work out, she'd come back to boring, reliable Daniel who'd be waiting with open arms. Except I wasn't going to wait, and I wasn't going to take her back. I'd spent the next week preparing. I'd opened a new bank account and transferred half our savings into it, my half. I'd contacted a divorce lawyer and had papers drawn up, ready to file. I'd gone through the apartment and made a list of everything that was mine versus ours versus hers. I'd changed all my passwords. I'd removed her from my life insurance policy and retirement accounts. And I'd gone to that coffee shop where I'd met Sarah. Sarah was 29, worked in marketing, and was recently divorced herself. She understood what I was going through. We'd talked for hours about betrayal and rebuilding and learning to trust again. She was smart and funny and beautiful, and when she'd given me her number, I'd taken it. We'd been texting ever since. Nothing inappropriate. She knew I was still technically married. But we'd been building something, a friendship that might become more once my divorce was finalized. I'd also been monitoring Emma's Instagram. She'd posted photos with Travis, dinner at fancy restaurants, a concert, a weekend trip to Boulder. She looked happy, radiant, like she'd been holding her breath for 7 years and could finally exhale. The photos had hurt at first, then they'd made me angry, then they'd made me grateful, because they were evidence. Proof that this wasn't about finding herself. It was about trading up, or what she thought was trading up. But I'd also noticed something else in those photos. Travis never smiled. He looked bored, distracted, like he was going through the motions. And in the background of one photo, I'd spotted something interesting. Another woman's jacket hanging on the coat rack. I'd done some digging. Travis had a girlfriend. Her name was Jessica. They'd been together for 2 years. He hadn't broken up with her when he'd reconnected with Emma. He'd been playing them both. I'd almost told Emma, almost sent her a message warning her. But then I'd stopped. Why should I save her from her own bad decision? She'd made her choice. Let her live with it. And sure enough, this morning I'd noticed that all the photos with Travis had been deleted from Emma's Instagram. Every single one, like they'd never existed. I'd known she'd be coming back. I'd prepared for it. And when she'd shown up with those expensive flowers and streaming mascara, I'd been ready. Now, sitting in my apartment with her blocked on every platform, I felt free for the first time in months. My phone buzzed. Sarah, what should I wear tonight? Whatever makes you feel beautiful, I typed back. You're smooth. I like it. I'm out of practice. Give me time. All the time you need. I smiled, real and genuine and full of hope for the future. Emma had wanted a break. She'd gotten one, permanent. 3 hours later, I was waiting outside Sarah's apartment building, watching the door and thinking about how different my life had become in just 2 weeks. The building was nice. Red brick, tree-lined street, the kind of place young professionals lived when they were doing well but not wealthy. Not like the luxury condo Emma and I had scrimped and saved to afford, the one I'd probably have to sell in the divorce. Sarah emerged right at 7, and I forgot about Emma entirely. She wore a simple black dress and a leather jacket, her dark hair falling in waves past her shoulders. She smiled when she saw me, and it was like someone had turned on a light. Hey, she said, sliding into the passenger seat. Hey yourself, you look amazing. You clean up nice, too. I'd changed into dark jeans and a button-down shirt, nothing fancy, but I'd tried. For the first time in months, I'd actually cared about how I looked. We drove to a restaurant downtown, an Italian place Sarah had recommended, small, intimate, with candles on the tables and Frank Sinatra playing softly in the background. The kind of place Emma would have called trying too hard, but that I found perfect. Over pasta and wine, Sarah told me about her divorce. Her ex-husband had cheated with a coworker, gaslit her about it for months, then blamed her when she'd found out. She'd left with nothing but her clothes and her dignity, rebuilt her life from scratch, and now worked at a company she loved doing work that mattered. I wasted 3 years trying to fix something that was broken from the start, she said. 3 years of making myself smaller so he could feel bigger. 3 years of accepting crumbs and calling it a feast. That sounds familiar. Emma? Yeah, I didn't realize it until she left, but I've been bending myself into knots for years trying to keep her happy. Nothing was ever quite right. I didn't take her out enough. I worked too much. I wasn't spontaneous. Meanwhile, I was paying all our bills, doing most of the housework, planning every vacation, remembering every birthday and anniversary. But none of that counted because I wasn't exciting. Let me guess, Travis is exciting? Apparently. He's a personal trainer, drives a motorcycle, still lives like he's 25 even though he's our age. Emma always complained about wanting stability, but I guess what she really wanted was a bad boy with abs. Sarah laughed. Men do the same thing. My ex left me for a woman 10 years younger who laughs at all his jokes and thinks he's fascinating. Last I heard, she's pregnant and he's freaking out about actually having to be responsible. How does that make you feel? Grateful I'm not her? Grateful I'm not stuck with a man-child who thinks marriage means having a mommy who also has intimacy with him. I raised my glass. To bad decisions made by people who deserve each other. She clinked hers against mine. And to us, who deserve better. We talked for hours about our marriages, our divorces, our hopes for the future. Sarah wanted to travel. She'd never been to Europe because her ex had refused to save money for anything beyond his gaming setup. I wanted to write. I'd always dreamed of writing a novel, but had convinced myself I didn't have time. Why not? Sarah asked. Why not what? Why not write? You have time now. Emma's gone. You can do whatever you want. I guess I never thought about it that way. That's what freedom is, Daniel. Realizing you can do all the things you put on hold for someone who didn't appreciate you. When did you get so wise? Divorce. It's a hell of a teacher. We left the restaurant at midnight, full of pasta and possibility. I drove Sarah home, and when we got to her building, she hesitated before getting out. I had a really good time tonight, she said. Me too. Can we do this again? I'd like that. Good. She leaned over and kissed my cheek. Text me when you get home safe. I watched her walk into her building, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. When I got home, Emma was waiting outside my door. She looked terrible. Her hair was a mess, her eyes were red and swollen, and she'd changed out of the dress she'd worn earlier into sweatpants and one of my hoodies, one I'd been looking for. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. Daniel, please, I need to explain. There's nothing to explain, Emma. You wanted a break? You got it. Now leave. I made a mistake. Yes, you did, but it's not my job to fix your mistakes anymore. Where were you tonight? That's none of your business. Were you on a date? I laughed. Actually laughed. Are you serious right now? You spent 2 weeks with your ex-boyfriend, posting photos all over social media, and now you're upset that I had dinner with someone? So you were on a date. Even if I was, what difference does it make? We're separated. You asked for that. We're still married. Barely. My lawyer has the papers drawn up. I can file tomorrow if you want. Emma's face crumpled. You contacted a lawyer? What did you think was going to happen, Emma? You'd sleep with Travis for a few weeks, realize he's still the same loser he was in high school, and come crawling back to your safe backup plan? Did you really think I'd just be sitting here waiting like a puppy? I didn't sleep with him. Oh, so you just went on romantic dates and took cute couples photos and spent the night at his place but kept your clothes on? Is that what you're telling me? She looked at the floor. That's what I thought. Go home, Emma. This is my home. Not anymore. You left. You don't get to come back just because your plan didn't work out. It's not like that. Travis and I, he wasn't who I thought he was. He was still seeing someone else. He lied to me. And that's my problem because I chose wrong. I chose him and I should have chosen you, and I'm sorry. You chose him because you thought he was better. The only reason you're here now is because he rejected you. If he'd left his girlfriend for you, I'd never hear from you again. Don't insult my intelligence by pretending otherwise. That's not true. It's completely true. Emma, I read your journal. I know you've been fantasizing about Travis for months. I know you asked for this break specifically so you could be with him. I know you told Michelle that you needed to see what else is out there before you settled for boring Daniel. Those were your words. Michelle told me. Emma went pale. Michelle told you that? Turns out not all your friends think treating your husband like garbage is cool. Michelle called me 3 days ago, told me everything. Every conversation you two had about how you felt trapped, how you wondered what your life would have been like if you'd stayed with Travis, how you felt like you'd married too young and missed out on experiences. Michelle had no right. Michelle has more integrity than you do. She told me because she felt guilty keeping your secrets while I was sitting at home thinking our marriage was solid. I want to come home. No. Daniel, no. You made your choice. You traded our marriage for a fantasy. The fantasy didn't work out. That's not my problem to fix. What about our vows, for better or worse? You broke those vows when you asked for a break to sleep with your ex. Don't quote our wedding at me. So that's it? 7 years and you're just done? I'm not the one who's done, Emma. You were done months ago. You just didn't have the guts to say it until you had Travis lined up. Well, Travis didn't want you, and neither do I. Not anymore. You're making a mistake. No, I'm correcting one. Goodbye, Emma. I unlocked my door, stepped inside, and closed it in her face. She pounded on it for a few minutes, but I ignored her. Eventually, she gave up and left. I leaned against the door, breathing hard, feeling a mix of anger and relief and satisfaction. That was it. The final conversation. The end of my marriage. I pulled out my phone and texted Sarah. Made it home safe. Emma was here waiting for me. What did she want? To come back. I said no. How do you feel? Free. Good. That's exactly how you should feel. Can I see you tomorrow? I'd like that. I smiled and set my phone down. Tomorrow I'd call my lawyer and file the papers. Tomorrow I'd start packing Emma's things so she could pick them up. Tomorrow I'd start the actual process of ending my marriage. But tonight I was just going to sit here and enjoy the silence, the peace, the knowledge that I'd stood up for myself and refused to be Plan B. Emma had wanted a break. She'd gotten a divorce. And I'd gotten my life back. The next morning, I woke up to 53 text messages from Emma, sent from a different number since I'd blocked her original one. I didn't read them. I deleted them all and blocked this number too. Then I called my lawyer, James Henderson, and told him to file the papers. Are you absolutely certain? James asked. Once we file, there's a waiting period, but the clock starts ticking. If you reconcile, you'll have to withdraw the petition. I'm certain. File them. I'll need you to come in and sign a few things. Can you make it here by 10? I'll be there. I showered, dressed, and was walking out the door when my phone rang. Michelle. Hey, I said. Hey, how are you holding up? Better than expected. Thanks for telling me what Emma was saying. I felt terrible keeping it from you. She's my friend, but what she was doing wasn't right. I appreciate it, really. She called me last night, crying, said you won't take her back. I won't. She's devastated. She made her choices. I'm making mine. I told her the same thing. Look, Daniel, I just want you to know I never agreed with what she was doing. I told her she was making a huge mistake. I told her Travis was bad news and that she was throwing away a good man for a fantasy. She wouldn't listen. Some people have to learn the hard way. I guess so. Are you really filing for divorce? This morning. Good for you. You deserve better. Thanks, Michelle. That means a lot. After we hung up, I drove to James's office. He had everything ready. Petition for dissolution of marriage, financial affidavits, proposed division of assets. I signed everything in a daze, barely processing what I was agreeing to. I'll file these this afternoon, James said. Emma will be served within 72 hours. Once she's served, she'll have 30 days to respond. If she contests anything, we'll go to mediation. If she doesn't respond or agrees to everything, the divorce will be finalized in about 6 months. 6 months? Colorado requires a 91-day waiting period from the date of service, plus time for paperwork and court scheduling. 6 months is actually pretty fast. It doesn't feel fast. Divorce never does. But you're doing the right thing, Daniel. From everything you've told me, Emma checked out of this marriage months ago. You're just making it official. I left James's office feeling numb. This was really happening. My marriage was really ending. But underneath the numbness was something else. Relief. I drove to a coffee shop, ordered a black coffee I didn't really want, and sat in the corner thinking about the past 7 years. Emma and I had met in college. She was studying marketing, I was studying finance. We'd been in the same study group for economics. She'd been smart and funny and beautiful, and I'd fallen hard. We dated for 2 years, moved in together after graduation, got engaged a year later, married 6 months after that. The first few years had been good. Great, even. We'd been broke but happy, eating ramen and dreaming about the future. We'd supported each other through entry-level jobs and student loans and learning how to be adults. But somewhere around year 5, things had shifted. Emma had gotten promoted and suddenly had money to spend. She'd started caring about things she'd never cared about before. Expensive clothes, fancy restaurants, a luxury car. I'd tried to keep up, working overtime and taking on extra projects to afford the lifestyle she wanted. Looking back, I'd lost myself in trying to keep her happy. I'd stopped writing, stopped playing guitar, stopped seeing my friends. Everything had been about Emma, about making enough money to satisfy her, about being exciting enough to hold her interest, about being perfect enough that she wouldn't leave, and she'd left anyway. My phone buzzed. Sarah. How'd it go with the lawyer? Papers are filed. It's officially over. How do you feel? Relieved, sad, free, all of it. Want company tonight? I'd love that. Come to my place. I'll cook. You don't have to. I want to. Besides, you've had a rough few weeks. Let me take care of you. I smiled. What time? 7? I'll be there. The rest of the day passed in a blur. I worked from home, barely processing the spreadsheets and reports I was supposed to be reviewing. At 6, I gave up pretending to work and started getting ready. I showed up at Sarah's apartment at 7 sharp with a bottle of wine and a bouquet of flowers. Not roses, but wildflowers from the farmer's market. Sarah opened the door in jeans and a sweater, her hair up in a messy bun, and she looked more beautiful than anyone in a fancy dress ever could. "You brought flowers," she said, smiling. "I remembered you said you liked wildflowers." "You remembered. I pay attention." She took the flowers and kissed my cheek. "Come in. Dinner's almost ready." Her apartment was small but cozy. Books everywhere, plants on every surface, art on the walls that actually meant something instead of just matching the couch. It felt like a home, not a showpiece. We ate pasta, apparently Sarah's specialty, and drank wine and talked about everything except our exes. She told me about her job, her friends, her dreams of traveling. I told her about my work, my abandoned writing, my plans to actually start living instead of just surviving. "So write something," Sarah said. "Start tonight." I wouldn't know where to start. Start with what you know. Write about this, about your marriage ending and finding yourself again. That's incredibly depressing. Or incredibly cathartic. Besides, divorce memoirs sell. Look at Eat, Pray, Love. I'm not going to Italy to find myself. You don't have to. You're finding yourself right here. After dinner, we moved to the couch. Sarah put on a movie, but neither of us paid attention to it. We talked instead, about everything and nothing, until it was past midnight. "I should go," I said, not wanting to. "You could stay," Sarah said quietly. "Nothing has to happen. I like having you here. I like being here. So stay." I stayed. We fell asleep on the couch together, fully clothed, just holding each other. It was the most intimate I'd been with anyone in years, and we hadn't even kissed. I woke up at dawn to my phone buzzing. 20 missed calls from yet another number. Emma had gotten a new phone or was using someone else's. I turned off my phone and went back to sleep. Emma was served with divorce papers on a Tuesday afternoon at her office. I know because Michelle called me immediately after. "She's losing it," Michelle said. "Screaming, crying, making a scene. Her boss had to send her home. Not my problem. She's talking about fighting the divorce, contesting everything, making it as difficult as possible. Let her. James says it'll just cost her money and won't change the outcome. She's also been posting about you on social media. Vague posts about betrayal and how men are trash. You might want to check." I hung up and opened Instagram. Sure enough, Emma had posted a long rant about how her husband had abandoned her in her time of need, how men always leave when things get hard, how she'd given him the best years of her life and gotten nothing in return. The comments were a mix of support from people who didn't know the full story and pointed questions from people who did. "Didn't you ask for a break?" one person wrote. "Weren't you just posting photos with Travis?" another asked. Emma had deleted both comments. I screenshot everything and sent it to James. "Evidence of her trying to control the narrative," I typed. Then I made my own post. One post. The only one I'd make about the divorce. After 7 years of marriage, my wife asked for a break to reconnect with her ex-boyfriend. 2 weeks later, when that didn't work out, she wanted to come back. I said no. Now she's playing the victim on social media. The truth is, she made her choice. I'm just respecting it. I wish her well, but I'm done being someone's backup plan. I tagged Emma in it, then immediately blocked her so she couldn't respond. Within an hour, the post had hundreds of likes and comments. Friends I hadn't heard from in years were reaching out to offer support. Emma's friends were silent, probably because they knew the truth. My phone rang. My mother. "Daniel, I just saw your post. What's going on?" I explained everything. The break, Travis, Emma coming back, the divorce. "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. But you did the right thing. That girl never deserved you." "You didn't like Emma?" "I loved Emma. But I didn't like how she treated you. Always making you feel like you weren't enough. Always wanting more, more, more. Your father and I worried about you." "You never said anything." "You loved her. We didn't want to interfere. But now that it's over, good riddance. You'll find someone who appreciates you." "I think I already have." "Oh?" I told her about Sarah. My mom listened, asked questions, and finally said, "She sounds wonderful. Bring her to dinner Sunday." "It's too soon." "It's not too soon to introduce your mother to a woman who makes you happy. Bring her. I'll make my lasagna." After we hung up, I texted Sarah. "My mom wants to meet you. Sunday dinner. No pressure if it's too soon." "I'd love to meet her." "Really?" "Really. Besides, I need to know if the lasagna lives up to the hype." "How do you know about the lasagna?" "You've mentioned it 3 times. I'm paying attention too." I smiled. Actually smiled. For the first time in weeks, I felt genuinely happy. The next few days were a whirlwind. Emma left increasingly unhinged voicemails on my work phone. Her lawyer contacted James demanding half of everything, including my car and my retirement account. James calmly explained that Colorado was an equitable distribution state and that Emma's affair would be taken into account. Emma's lawyer tried to argue there was no affair since they were on a break. James pointed out that Emma had asked for the break specifically to pursue the affair, which showed premeditation and bad faith. The case was going to mediation in 3 weeks. Meanwhile, Sarah and I were spending every free moment together. We went to museums, tried new restaurants, took long walks in the park. She introduced me to her friends. I introduced her to mine. It felt natural and easy and right. Sunday came and I brought Sarah to my parents' house. My mom loved her immediately. They bonded over books and cooking while my dad and I talked about work and sports. It felt like family. Over lasagna, which lived up to the hype, my mom said, "Sarah, how did you and Daniel meet?" Coffee shop. I asked if the seat across from him was taken. He said no. We ended up talking for 3 hours. Love at first sight? More like friendship at first sight. The love part is still developing. Sarah looked at me and smiled. But it's getting there. My dad raised his glass. To new beginnings? We all clinked glasses, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. That night, as I was driving Sarah home, she said, "Your parents are wonderful. They liked you too. My mom already wants to know when you're coming back. Anytime she makes that lasagna. That can be arranged." We got to her apartment, and this time when she asked me to come up, I did. We stood in her living room, suddenly nervous, the weight of what was happening settling over us. "Daniel," Sarah said softly, "I need you to know. I'm not a rebound. I'm not here to help you get over Emma. I'm here because I genuinely like you and want to see where this goes. But if you're not ready..." I kissed her, finally. After weeks of dancing around it, I kissed her, and she kissed me back. When we pulled apart, she was smiling. I'll take that as a yes. "I'm ready," I said. "I'm so ready." We spent the night together, and it was everything my marriage hadn't been in years. Easy and natural and full of laughter. Sarah didn't make me feel like I wasn't enough. She made me feel like I was exactly right. The next morning, I woke up to another barrage of messages from Emma. This time, she'd gotten my work email. "I saw you with her," one email said. "Otto, at your parents' house. Who is she? How long has this been going on?" I replied to exactly one email. "Who I see is no longer your concern. Please stop contacting me." Then I blocked her work email too. 3 weeks later, we went to mediation. Emma showed up with her lawyer, looking thin and tired. I showed up with James and all our evidence. The mediator was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who clearly had no patience for drama. "Mrs. Foster, you're asking for 50% of all marital assets, including Mr. Foster's retirement account and vehicle. On what grounds?" "We were married for 7 years. I'm entitled to half." "Mr. Foster is also entitled to compensation for the fact that you initiated this separation to pursue an extramarital affair, which shows bad faith and damages." "We were on a break. A break you requested specifically to see someone else. That's not protected activity, Mrs. Foster." The mediation lasted 4 hours. In the end, we settled. Emma got half the money in our joint account, her car, and her personal belongings. I kept my car, my retirement account, the apartment, and my dignity. The divorce would be final in 60 days. Walking out of the mediator's office, Emma tried one last time. "Daniel, wait." I stopped, turned, looked at her. "I'm sorry," she said, "for all of it. I made terrible choices. I ruined the best thing I ever had. Can't we try again? Can't you forgive me?" I looked at this woman I'd spent 7 years of my life with and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no love. Just nothing. "No," I said simply. "I can't. Because even if I forgave you, I'd never trust you again. And what's a marriage without trust?" "So you're just going to throw away 7 years?" "I'm not throwing anything away, Emma. You already did that. I'm just accepting it. Goodbye." I walked away and didn't look back. 60 days later, the divorce was finalized. I got the papers in the mail on a Thursday. Sarah and I celebrated by going to dinner and talking about the future. Our future. Together. 6 months after that, I sold the apartment and bought a house. A small house in a quiet neighborhood with a yard and a porch and room for a home office where I could write. Sarah moved in 3 months later. We got engaged on our 1-year anniversary. Married 6 months after that. I never heard from Emma again. According to Michelle, she moved to California to start fresh. I wished her well and meant it. As for Travis, I heard he got back together with his girlfriend, who took him back despite the cheating. Some people never learn, but I learned. I learned that being someone's second choice isn't romantic. I learned that finding yourself is often code for finding someone else. I learned that when someone shows you who they are, you should believe them. Most importantly, I learned that the best revenge isn't anger or bitterness or spite. The best revenge is building a better life with someone who actually values you. Someone who doesn't need a break to figure out if you're enough. Someone who knows from day one that you're more than enough. Emma wanted a break. She got a permanent one. And I got everything I ever wanted. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. You just have to let it go.